Outside the Box Reviews, we are taking a look at the Blizzard StarCraft Terran Marine figure. This is the last of the original wave of StarCraft figures, and I thought this was a good one to end with as we move into our new figures that also contains a Terran infantry unit. I'll say off the bat, my favorite figure from this line jumps back and forth between that Hydralisk and this Marine, but I think this Marine is usually the one I prefer most. So let's take a closer look and I'll show you what I find so appealing about it. For accessories, our Marine comes with his rifle, which is really nice looking, cool futuristic looking gun. There's a slight bit of paint shading on it, giving it a little bit of a dirty look. It's also kind of a rubbery plastic, so it's not too breakable, which probably is why it's survived so long in my collection. But it's a decent looking gun, not super detailed, but detailed enough for this figure. Now, the one thing I will say about the sculpt of this Marine right off the bat is the fact that the proportions are a little off from actual human anatomy. If you look at him, he has very long legs and kind of a shorter torso. And then his arms are probably nearly as long as his legs are. This has always kind of bugged me a little bit, but it's kind of also what the Marines looked like in the video game cutscenes. So it's kind of up to you how much this is actually a problem and how much this is paying tribute to the game itself. The Marine's face, I think, is excellently sculpted. I love the personality they captured in him. None of the other characters they did in this line had any real possibility for personality, so they really captured a great looking character. It looks very much like one of the generic Marines in the game. He's got a scar going down the side of his face there. He's just got this disgruntled look on his face. I think it looks great. The lower part of his mouth and most of the top of his head is hidden by the helmet and the suit itself, which I always thought was kind of cool. I love the design of the Marines basically being stuck in a big tin can. Down here, with some very worn, scratched paint over the years, you can see he's got the lights going on the top of his suit. Then if we back out a little more, you can see some more detail around it. He has the blue coloration, which would change depending on what team you were on in the game. Got some bullet holes here on the side of his armor. We got some scratches over here from maybe a Zerg or something. His shoulder pauldrons are all scratched to hell, and even some more bullet holes as well. Looking really nice. I love the battle damage here. And the armor has a really cool, almost hammered look to it. It's not smooth pieces. It's very worn and just banged up looking. Even the helmet itself has a big dent up here in the top of the head, looking like he got hit with something. Up here on the shoulder, we do have kind of a floodlight, and this is a removable piece. You could pop it out if you don't want it in there, but I think he looks really cool with it. Very Aliens reference there. Then we go around the back, we have a fire extinguisher, and whatever this is, I'm not really sure what this is supposed to be, but these are both removable pieces, so if you did actually army build these Marines, you can kind of swap out the looks of them by adding and removing accessories to them, which is cool. More great battle damage on the shoulders here. Got a weird little indent here on his backpack. You can see the rest of the armor kind of has a brassy color to it, and there's some areas that are just black. The arms with more of that brassy look, more scratches coming down the kind of gauntlets here, and the gloved hands. We have the very complex looking cod piece going down to even more battered up legs. And the legs look like they were two pieces molded separately and stuck together, so there is kind of a bit of a seam here in the middle. We have his big clunky lower legs with a lot more scratching down here on the sides, and then his very skinny looking feet, which I also thought was kind of funny, and then these weird little hooks coming off the back of his legs. For articulation, the Marine has what I wish the Protoss did. We have a swivel at the head, so we'll move pretty far side to side either way, of course hindered by the armor. We have a swivel at the shoulder, so we can go forward and back. It does break up the sculpt when you move it, but what else can you really do here? We have a swivel at the upper arm, a decent hinge at the elbow. It goes about maybe a little more than 45 degrees. Rotation at the wrist. We have a swivel here at the waist. The legs will go forward and back, limited by the armor, but still a pretty good range of motion. We have a very squeaky hinge here at the knee, which will move about 45 degrees. And then we have a hinge at the foot. And the great part about the foot is that with the toe being sculpted at an angle, it actually makes it possible to get him into a little more of a dynamic stance, like he's leaning on his toes. And for a size comparison, of course, we gotta put the Terran next to the Colonial Marine from Aliens by NECA. This is actually Hicks from the 2-pack. And while they're not quite in scale, the Terran figure is a little short compared to Hicks here. But I honestly think if you wanted to incorporate this guy into an Alien display, you probably kind of could fudge it. And yeah, going back and actually looking at this figure and reviewing it, I think this is my favorite from the set, because there's very little that I dislike about this figure. The articulation is the best of the wave. The paint and sculpt is fantastic. He's got some cool accessories with him, and he's just got some great personality that I think is absolutely required for a Marine figure. So he's not heads and shoulders above the Zerg, but I'm pretty confident that he is my favorite of the group. So that wraps up this series of figures from Blizzard, and my knowledge of what happened with StarCraft figures after this gets a little murky. I had originally believed I saw advertisements on the packaging for these figures back in 1998 that they had a fire bat to go along with this Marine as either a variant or a Wave 2. I can't find anything online that supports that. What I did find is that Toycom made figures that look fairly similar to these, but they came out I think in 2003, and that featured a wave containing a fire bat, a different looking Zerg Hydralisk, a much more spiny looking one, and Tassadar for the Protoss. And I was having trouble even finding them on eBay just to try to see some more pictures of them or what their going rate is, so I'm thinking those are a little hard to come by. I know there have been StarCraft figures since then. They've been in different scales, I believe, and they've varied in amounts of articulation and detailing. But since NECA is where I mostly collect, and knowing that we're at least going to get one StarCraft figure out of them, I'm pretty excited to see what they bring to the table in their Heroes of the Storm line. So I'll be checking those out next. And in the meantime, make sure you check me out on Instagram, username Outside the Box Reviews. Also follow me on Facebook, link below. And until next time, this has been our Outside the Box Reviews.
How do I get out of this chicken shit outfit?